Hi there, welcome to the Snob and the Slob, and we're here to review
Captain America! What do you think?
Wow, that's almost as impressive as the 35-year-old Thor cosplayer we saw at the movie last night.
Yeah, that guy was awesome. He was my inspiration.
Yeah, just about as awesome as the guy who tried to start a slow clap every time that something inspirational in the movie happened.
Yeah, that guy was just expressing what we all felt. Come on.
Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger, more than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger, more than ever.
Alright, so Captain America tells the story of Steve Rogers, a scrawny Brooklyn boy who is trying to enlist in World War II, but no one will accept him because of his myriad of medical issues and just how small he is. And so finally he gets accepted into a secret government program to create the top super soldier because he possessed traits that the more generic grunts in the army did not, like heart and courage and all that. And he finally ends up doing battle with the villainous Red Skull and his Hydra organization, which are an offshoot of Hitler's army.
I tell you what, like, this movie had built up so much for me in my head. I know you had mentioned in the Thor review how this is the movie that you were really looking forward to. I was as well. And I must say, right off the bat, this movie did not disappoint. In fact, I think it actually exceeded my expectations. It was just amazing from so many different aspects, from the story, to the characters, to the action, the tone of the movie, the setting. Everything about this movie I thought was spot on. There was nothing that I disliked about this movie at all. And I thought that that's, something that is really hard to do in a movie nowadays. There's always going to be something you can nitpick. I can't think of a single thing that I can nitpick about this movie.
I'll agree with you for the most part there. I mean, I think they definitely saved the best of the Avengers setup films for last, since Iron Man.
Definitely.
Like, they've been building up to it since that point, and I think they kind of set Thor out there ahead of time just because that was kind of the biggest gamble and probably not the most bankable property. Now, Captain America, I mean, it pretty much wowed me.
I know this neighborhood. I got beat up in that alley.
You just don't know when to give up.
I could do this all day.
Do you have something against running away?
You start running, they'll never let you stop. You really gonna do this now?
There are men laying down their lives. I got no right to do any less than them.
I can offer you a chance.
Our goal is to create a new breed of super soldiers. When you brought a 90-pound asthmatic onto my army base, I let it slide.
I am looking for qualities beyond the physical.
You win wars with guts.
Grenade! Everybody down!
Is this the test? He's still skinny.
Just a big selling point for me is that there were actually they actually took time to really set up a sympathetic character you cared about, and
yeah,
not just that the side characters, they actually had some personality and were actually fun to watch.
I totally agree, and that's one of the big things that I want to mention about this movie. This movie builds so well from the start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call it a slow build because there's plenty of things happening in the first half an hour, 40 minutes of this movie, but it's not a heavy action focus at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They get you to care about these characters, and they do it in such a way that when something happens, when they go off to war, that sort of thing, you actually care about them, and that's really hard to do, especially for ancillary characters. Usually, if a movie's doing anything right at all, you'll care about the main character and you'll hate the villain, and that's usually where they leave it off. In this case, was there a useless side character in this movie? I can't think of an ancillary character.
No,
that was worthless.
I pretty much enjoyed everyone, and they all played their part. And I think that something that really went well for this movie as well is that just Captain America's overall story arc actually felt very well realized and well-rounded. As once again going back to Thor, like, I didn't quite feel like he had earned his transition at the end to really becoming the hero he was supposed to be. Now in this one, I mean, even when he becomes the super soldier and is all beefy and everything, like, still no one respects him because they think he's just like a sideshow or a gimmick, and he, kind of gets plugged into that role for a while, and he has to really work to get past that, and finally, he comes into his own, and I just found that really satisfying. And
yeah, he definitely earned that as well, and it brings me to something that I really, really wanted to say about this movie, and that I loved Captain America because it proves to movie studio execs and to just anybody that has said that the classic American good guy type of hero can't work anymore, this movie shows that that style can. Note to the people making the next Superman movie, by the way, you don't have to be a dark, brooding anti-hero to be popular anymore. I hope this movie does really well because Captain is so earnest. He's good-hearted. He's just a classic archetype of a superhero.
Whatever happens, stay who you are. Not just a soldier, but a good man.
Alright, now you mentioned that you really didn't have anything that bothered you about this movie, that, you know, there wasn't anything to complain about. I had a few nitpicky things, but nothing that really detracted from my overall enjoyment of the movie. I guess that I thought that Hugo Weaving, I mean, he did his, you know, he did the best he could as the Red Skull, but the Red Skull as a character just wasn't that compelling. He's basically just your generic, well, I want to take over the world type of character, and there's not much real depth to it. That being said, I am glad that Captain America was just fighting the Red Skull, and they weren't actually trying to work him into real historical events, like you didn't see Captain like fighting in the Battle of the Bulge or anything like that, and I really appreciated that because in X-Men First Class they worked in something like that with the Cuban Missile Crisis, which I thought sort of worked there, but with something as I guess, culturally sensitive as World War II, I'm not sure how well that would have played, and it might have ended up being in poor taste, so...
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and you know, I didn't have as much of a problem with the Red Skull. I know he was kind of generic, but I thought that he worked for what he needed to do, but I can see where you're coming
it wasn't
from
a big thing, but yeah.
But the one thing, you know, you're talking about it wasn't rooted, like the original Captain America, like the classic Captain comic, you know, the cover is him punching Hitler in the face, and the whole thing was him beating the living tar out of Nazis. And they do play some very nice tongue-in-cheek references to that, and the humor that they get from that works really well. They put him in his classic costume, which
that whole bit is, I think, just great and really adds to the character, like I was saying earlier.
It really did.
Really shows what he's really about, as opposed to what he kind of can appear without knowing much about him.
Captain, we are much alike.
Jawohl, Mr. Henderson.
Jawohl. Mach schnell!
What made you so special?
Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Alright, man, let's talk about the action.
Alright.
Because when people go to Captain America, they want to know if this is going to be some good action.
I hope so.
I have to say the action was awesome. We saw this in 2D. I don't know what it looked like in 3D. You could tell that they threw a couple of scenes in there for it, like the shield coming at you and that sort of thing.
Right.
But in 2D, this was the best shot action movie I've seen in a long time. Like, pretty much you could tell what was going on.
Exactly.
Almost 99.9% of the time. Like, when Cap was doing something, you could tell who he was hitting, what he was going for. They hit all of his classic comic book action beats as well, like, you know, the classic Captain diving with the shield, the throwing the shield, all that sort of thing. They make it look, Chris Evans captures the look and the feel of Captain America and his fighting style so well. I thought I was looking at the comic animated almost to a certain extent, which was amazing because Captain, you'd think, would get kind of hard to look right with throwing the shield and everything, but he really did. And I just thought overall the look of this movie was spot on.
I couldn't agree more. The action scenes were great. There was no shaky cam. You could tell exactly what was going on.
Alright, just want to summarize how I felt about this movie. I thought this was an absolutely amazing film. I thought Chris Evans did a great job of capturing the essence of what makes Captain America so great. I thought that the action was just incredible. It was the best shot action I've seen in a long, long time. In fact, I think this movie is about the best movie I've seen in a long time. Definitely of the summer. I'm going to give this movie an A. My first A. And I would say pay full price to see this movie. You're not going to be disappointed. It's worth every single penny, and I want it to do well so I can see another one. So check it out, please.
I completely agree. I think that the overall feel of this movie, just the World War II setting, was a refreshing change for the superhero genre. I really felt for the Steve Rogers character because they gave him a proper build-up, which they don't in a lot of superhero movies. He just had an excellent, really complete story arc that just was way more powerful than I think a lot that you get in this genre. And even all the supporting characters did really well to move the plot forward. Like Tommy Lee Jones, as even the generic sort of gruff army officer, did great, and you know he still had a lot of personality to him. And the special effects for the most part were very well done, except for my few little problems I had with it. And it was very well shot. Like you could tell everything that was going on in the action scenes. And I'm just going to give this movie an A-, yeah, because I had a few little problems with it, but it's still a fantastic film that's definitely worth your time and money. And I have to say, wait until after the credits, because you will get an excellent teaser for what's coming up next summer with the Avengers movie starring Iron Man, Hulk, Hawkeye, Thor, and Captain America. So it's going to be a great ensemble piece from what I've seen in these other movies, and I just think that it'll definitely be worth your time to go out and see it, and I couldn't be more excited for it.
All you used to do was put me down, but I found a way to pick myself up off the ground. And all you used to do was criticize me, but now I find a good and I emphasize it. See, you would always get so sensitive and try to turn your transgressions into my guiltiness.
Alright, so Captain America,
Super awesome.
I'm not making fun of you, dude. I'm serious. It happened.
There was a guy with a red face.
He was scary.
He was kind of scary. He had no nose.
He had a really bad German accent.
Cool
But it was Hugo Weaving, so I could say Mr. Anderson.